Hi everybody, a very warm welcome to Simply Scuba. Today I'm starting my Google search with why scuba to see what that brings me and answer any questions that I find. If you have any questions to do with scuba diving, then let me know down in the comments below and I'll get those answered as soon as I can. But let's get down to it. The first Google question is, why is scuba diving a good experience? Oh, that's quite a nice question. Scuba diving is a very different experience from really anything else, and it's kind of the closest thing to being in space. It's all about exploring unique, weightless environments where you can float above, around, and underneath things. See bizarre creatures and go to places that very few other people ever would or could. We're also a very nice bunch to be around. If you turn up on a dive boat by yourself, you'll end up with several new friends by the end of the trip. We are good fun to be around. Scuba diving for a lot of people is all about freedom and just escape. Underwater, everything's very calm and soothing. There are no phone calls, there are no emails or social media pings underwater. You can't even talk to one another except with hand signals, and for a lot of people, it's a really great way to just get away from things and explore new places that only a select few people have ever seen in this weightless environment, just unburdened by gravity. Why do scuba divers fall backwards? The joke answer is so that you don't fall forwards inside of the boat. There are a few ways that we can get into the water depending on where we're entering. If it's along the shoreline with like a gradual incline from the beach, then we can just walk in. If we're wearing our fins though, we do tend to shuffle backwards or sideways because the fins make our feet really long. It's kind of tricky to walk forwards in the water or along the hard surface, and you often trip over, so we don't tend to walk forwards. Off the edge of a large dive boat, we just do a giant stride entry. You just step into the water. It's quick and efficient, does the job. But if we're diving off a rib, one of those smaller boats where we're all sat around the edge, rolling backwards allows us to see the entire group whilst we're rolling back, so that we know that we're all going to roll back at the same time. Because if only one side of the boat goes before the other side, then that kind of shift in weight can actually tip the boat over. But when we roll back, the first thing that's going to hit anything, clunk into anything, is going to be your strong cylinder behind you instead of your face. It's a very quick and easy way for the entire team on both sides to do it side by side, getting into the water. And it's just easier on a small boat than everyone trying to sort of turn around. There's really not enough space, so we just roll backwards. Why do divers spit in their masks? You'll often see scuba divers spitting in their masks right before a dive. It's not for good luck, it's actually to help stop our masks from fogging up during the dive. Moisture condenses on the inside of your mask, just like on the outside of a drinks glass or on a bathroom mirror when you're having a shower. When it's cold on one side because of the water and warm and humid on the other side, water droplets condense on the glass and we can't see through it. Spit helps to alter the surface tension of the water droplets so that they can't form as easily on the glass. There are modern alternatives to spit that are arguably more effective, but scuba divers often spit in their masks to help stop them from fogging up during a dive. We don't just spit in a mask and then put it straight on. We do wash it first, but that spit almost makes like a very thin film on the glass surface that helps prevent fogging up. Why does nitrogen build up when diving? So when we dive deeper underwater, the water around us exerts more and more pressure. Every 10 meters we go down, that pressure increases by 1 bar. That increase in pressure around us means that the air that we're breathing in is actually denser. At just 10 meters depth, it's twice as dense as it is on the surface. So there's twice the concentration of nitrogen in our lungs that wants to then dissolve into our blood. Just like a smell in a room, particles go from a high density area to equilibrium over time. The same thing happens to the nitrogen in your lungs. It dissolves into your blood and your tissues over time. If there's more on one side, then the more ends up on the other side when it's at equilibrium. The trick is to get it back out at a safe rate, and that's what our dive computers are doing for us, making sure that we're coming up as safely as possible. Why do they call it the bends? We don't really call it the bends anymore. The technical term is decompression illness, or DCI. The bends comes from one of the signs and symptoms from workers building on the Brooklyn Bridge actually back in the 1800s, because they are working at depths and then returning to sea level too quickly. Bubbles would actually form inside of their bodies, often in their spine, and to alleviate that pain, they would bend over. At that time, when they were building the foundations, a caisson was built, which is basically a sort of a pressurized airspace that just pushes the water out, where the workers could do their construction on the riverbed. But because it was pressurized, they'd be absorbing all of that extra nitrogen, only they wouldn't decompress on the way back up like we do. The bends name also comes from a fashionable posture that some fancy ladies around the time were doing, called the Grecian bend, where they kind of bend over and stick their butts out. It was a weird time, but that was a similar posture to what the workers were doing, so that bends kind of came out. Yeah, the 1800s were a strange time. But we'll probably say that about the 2020s in a few decades time. I mean, you remember the 80s? I don't, but I've seen pictures. Anyway, those are my questions for today. If you have any questions that you would like answered, let us know down in the comments below. If you use the hashtag AskMark, it might even get featured in the Friday show. Remember to like, share and subscribe to all those kind of social media things. Make sure you're pressing lots of nice buttons. Check out our merch store by clicking on the banner underneath this video on YouTube. And of course, check out simplyscuba.com. Wonderful website, definitely worth checking out. Thank you for watching everybody, and of course, safe diving.